Hi, everyone. This is God Talk, and it is October 9th, and we're continuing our discussion about racial equity and what a safe place for people of color looks like. So we have a little smaller group tonight. Suzette is traveling, and Jared and Leo are helping another friend from church. So we'll go ahead and get started. And so we'll start with our icebreaker and uh, uh, our name that we want to be called, our pronouns, and and Lynn's gonna ask the icebreaker question.
Okay, I'm Lynn, she, her. And the icebreaker is what's the last movie that you saw in a movie theater? Had time
Okay.
to think about it.
And what's your answer,
I
Lynn?
can't remember.
Ah!
I cannot remember. I wanted to go see Denzel Washington has one out. He and Spike Lee did Highest to Lowest, but it's already out of the movie theaters. I had a friend who told me that she and her husband went to see it, and I wanted to go and see it. And when I went looking for it, I couldn't find it anywhere. So it's on, I think it's on Apple TV now. But that's
What's
the
the
one I
name
was
of it?
gonna go see.
What name
That's
did
my
you say?
highest to lowest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
Spike Lee and with Denzel Washington movie, and in mid-August, I want to say, maybe early September, it was actually in the movies, but now it's gone. Can't find it anywhere. So that's the
Okay.
last one I was gonna go see.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go next. I'm Carol, she, her, and Marco was at the movies, so perhaps that's what made Lynn think of it. And I can't. I may have been to a movie since, but the one I remember last was I went to see Barbie with my mother on Thanksgiving Day because
Oh,
I remember that. When did that come out? What was it? 2 years ago?
about 2 years.
Something like that. And so much of the dining areas at her retirement community are closed on holidays. I mean, the memory care one is, but I can't eat with her there. And so I wanted to go someplace where we could eat and and be at and they so we went to one of those theaters you were talking about before the recording started, Lynn,
Mhm.
where you could order dinner while you were sitting there, and I ordered her some something great that I knew she would like, some like chicken tenders or something like that, and she just didn't eat like hardly a bite the entire time we were there, and until the lights came on. And then she's like, "Oh, look at this food." And I was like, "We're trying to clear us out now." And and I'd come without a walker or a wheelchair or anything, and we kind of had trouble making it to our car. So, but a nice man helped us. So that was the last time I tried that, but it was really cool to see a movie that had some feminist type theme with my mother. That was meaningful to me. So that was kind of a long answer, but we're a smaller group, um, so we have we I'm taking a little bit of liberties. Kreger?
Prager, he, they. I was just discussing it with Paul because neither of us can remember specifically what was the last movie we saw, but it was either Inside Out, which is the movie about the psychology movie. They did like Inside Out Part Two like last year, or it was a movie something having to do with Eckhart Tolle, or it was some Star Trek. It was one of the Star Trek movies because Paul got so dizzy, he got motion sick. Come with all the whooshing and the starships, whooshing in, and he got sick to his stomach watching that one. But we don't know which one was last. They're both been years ago, probably 2019 or prior.
Wow. Okay, Kate.
The last recollection of a movie that I went to the theater for was years ago. And Gail and I took my parents to the theater, and we saw Bad Santa.
Oh,
And I don't know if you have all seen that movie, but you don't want to bring your parents to it. And we sat there in just extreme horror at what I was sitting next to my parents and watching in these scenes in this movie. And I think that was the last time we went to a theater.
How did your parents react?
Oh my God. I couldn't even look. I mean, some of the scenes in that movie were like, oh my God, I cannot even believe I'm sitting next to my parents, but that's how long it's been since we have been in the theater, I think.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not
well,
sure.
that's so much fun. I wonder if Reverend Mona wants to weigh in now on this question. Come on, Mona.
Yes, Mona, speak up.
What's the last picture you saw at the movie theater?
Well, I was just trying to look that up. I don't really remember the last movie. I know that it was a lighthearted movie, but I'm trying to look at the movies that came out in 2024, and I don't remember the name of it, but the movie that I do remember seeing was Jesus Revolution, but it wasn't the last one. So.
Nice. What was that did you enjoy that? Do you
I
recommend?
did enjoy it. I did enjoy it, but I'm puzzled to see which one I went to go see as the last. I do remember going by myself. I do remember it being enjoyable and emotional, but I don't remember the name of it. So who knows? I could see it again.
I guess that's one advantage to
Then halfway through, I'll recognize saying, "Oh, I've seen this."
Yeah.
All right, Kate. Bad Santa came out on November 26th of 2003.
That was some time ago.
That's a hot minute.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think about our
I know what it was. Race for Glory.
Oh, okay.
Race for Glory.
Yeah, the people, the rowing movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I mean, I didn't see it, but I remember advertising.
Okay. That um that kind of makes me think about the movie Race, which I didn't see at the theater, but I saw not too long ago just on Netflix. Have you guys seen that one?
Mm-mm.
Um that's about the runner in it was during he really came to fame during the um when like the Olympics, I think, were in Germany during the Nazi regime. Um, oh shoot, why am I blanking on his name? But anyway, it really brought up some things that that just um just the dichotomy of race and how how even athletes, very famous athletes, can be elevated, but still, like toward the end of the movie when he was really at his peak of fame and everything, he was still went to an award banquet where he was receiving like the top award, and he was asked to use the back door. Um, and just all the discrimination at the race itself, and um it there are just some things that history has just really hidden from us, I think. And I love that some people use their creative powers to create films that inform and make us more aware. I suspect the movie. Lynn, do you think the movie that you were talking about wanting to see is something like that? Spike Lee is pretty famous for those type
Yeah,
of movies.
I'm just a real Denzel Washington fan. And so I pretty much watch him in anything. He's such a great actor. And whatever character he portrays is like it's really him. And that's unusual for a lot of actors. So yeah, I just heard that it was good. Like I said, my coworker told me that she and her husband had gone to see it and it was good. And I'm like, oh, Denzel's got something new out, and so I was wanting to go. But I would imagine if anything that Spike Lee is associated with, he has really been the filmmaker who has documented um, people, Black Americans, in history. And so, yeah, I would imagine that there's some something about it that I'll learn new about Black America. Um, Malcolm X, Spike Lee just is that kind of guy. When he does movies, and he always they make you think. And sometimes you want to be entertained, but Spike he entertains you as well as makes you think. So.
Yeah, I agree. One of the movies that I'm just going to follow this train of thought here. It's working
Okay.
well. Thank you, Lynn. The favorite movie that Marco and I can agree on every time is Remember the Titans. Have you guys seen that movie?
Oh yeah, yeah. Seen that
You
a
haven't seen
couple
it, Gregor?
times.
Um, will you describe it for Gregor?
No.
Okay,
Is that
it's a
the
football
coach?
movie.
It's the
It's a
coach.
football
Yeah.
movie. Yeah,
Mhm.
Denzel Washington is in it. That's one of the things that make
Yeah.
me think about it. And
Mhm.
he is a coach that was assigned to come to a high school,
Black
uh,
and white. Yeah.
um, high school right when the schools were being integrated.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of resistance, of course, in the schools, as there was during those times. And it also has some great music, by the way. And Marco and I, that's our rule at our house. When the music comes on, you gotta dance.
Oh wow. It's been so long since I saw that. I've seen it a couple times though, and I do remember now that you say it's
Yeah,
it's it's about
it
a black and white, the black players getting along with the white players and vice
Yeah,
versa.
and he does some really good work in terms of I mean, first he builds the bridges. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he gets brought on as an assistant coach, and then he gets elevated to the head coach with some behind the scenes people working against him to
Mm-hmm.
try to bring him down. And then the white coach kind of learns about it at the last minute or figures it out, and kind of keeps the games from being called unfairly, because they would have um, kicked him out of that position if he had lost even one game. And anyway, but the most telling scenes in the movie have to do with when they're at training at the football camp off by themselves. And that he starts out like making them roommates, like one black, one white player as roommates. And he makes them start learning something about themselves, but they keep getting in all these fights. And finally he wakes them up like at 3 in the morning and takes them on a run through the woods to the site of the Gettysburg battle. And he gives this really telling speech. He says things like, this is where the blood was spilled, black against white, brother against brother. Hear their souls, hear the blood that is calling out to you. Let's, if we can't learn to get along here now in this day and time, um, you know, we just maybe if we can, um, we'll learn to get along, and we'll learn to play this game like men. He said, I don't care if you like each other, but you will respect each other. And everything changed kind of from then on out. And so it was a beautiful way of building bridges. He also asked like each one of them to learn something about another person of another race. And so you see them kind of resisting, but then coming forward with oh wow. In other words, the dehumanizing, that's how he worked on that. He showed them that that the members of the other race to themselves were human, and so they couldn't any longer stay apart like that.
That's a good recollection. That movie came out in 2000.
Well,
absolutely good movie.
When I say Marco and I both like it, that means like Marco wants to watch it over and over and over again. So it's one of those we can quote.
Okay.
We can almost
because I know I've seen it a couple times, but I couldn't remember those details that you had.
Oh, yeah. There's I've seen that in some of the things that I think are going on at the church. Particularly, I see Jared and Leo bringing people together and building bridges between people where and I see a lot of things happening like we just try to be mad at like one person, and then everybody's like, no, wait, this isn't about one person. This is about building structures that are safe and sustainable, and that we can all learn to appreciate and move into our a more beautiful future, a more inclusive future. Kate, were you about to say something? Oh, okay. Well, how can we continue building bridges? Let me, some of the, I think some of the things that get in the way of building bridges are listed in these white supremacy culture tenets that I reprinted in our chat, like defensiveness. Um, we have a bit of a fear of open conflict. Um, so I mean, what that's doing is kind of easing some of our fears about open conflict, I think. And the right to comfort has to do with that too. It has to do with us just not just we wanting to stay in our comfort zone. That has to do with not being willing to when we're judging someone else, like oh, you did something really, really bad, then that's not helping our own self grow. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that?
Una vez de podemos construir una puerta es por aprendiendo un idioma nuevo. One of the ways we can build a bridge is by learning a new language.
Good point. Yeah, and what about the Super Bowl?
You got 4 months.
Isn't that a good challenge?
Yo tengo suficiente palabras para entiendo Bad Bunny and Super Bowl. I already have enough words in Spanish to understand Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl.
I need
Very
to.
good.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But I was thinking specifically of just like building bridges between individuals in our church. How do you think we oh, Suzette has like an event coming up, which isn't specifically race related or anything, but I think it's good at building bridges, like when they're, what's it called, Holy Goat, where the next gen is just having a social out at her place. I think that's a beautiful way of building bridges.
You got to join the choir, or join a musical group, join the campus group. I mean, like I told Jared and Leo, I'm like, you can come and watch Forever Blessed sing. We got 2 Black people in our quartet. It's okay. I mean, that's where I built so many bridges as a young musician. Music exposed me as a white person, even from Wisconsin, but eventually traveling all over this country. Music exposed me to people of all different kinds of races, but mainly Black and Hispanic. And when you have that commonality, which was music, that's a bridge right there. Like, even the Judds sang, "Love can build a bridge." Music is a bridge that brings people together. So, but in any church, there's usually, it depends on the racial diversity of the church group itself. But it's been my experience with Resurrection MCC in Houston that you pick a group, and if you're looking for that, you pick a group that has racial diversity, and then you just get in there and learn about people, learn what their lives are like. And all this while you're doing whatever the activity is, whether you're cleaning the grounds, or hi Marco, or whether you're whether you're on the nominating committee, or whatever you're doing, you get to know people because of the activity that you're engaged in.
I was also thinking of just like when conflicts do come up, or like when like I have heard somebody say, well, I don't get along with somebody because of this and this and this and then like I'm specifically thinking of a time when Jared and Leo answered that with, "Oh, well, I don't think you've really gotten to know that person." Instead of saying, "Oh, I agree or I don't agree with you," they're just like, "How could you get to know that person better? And have you seen this side of them that I think you would really like that?" I just thought that was a beautiful way of building bridges with that, and just kind of de-escalating some negativity, some conflict. And I think a lot of times we have the opportunities to do that. Uh, um, I'm not the best person about that. Sometimes I just want to go, "Oh, just makes me so mad." but
One of the
but
first things Paul and I did when we got to Austin and we became engaged with Uprising is we hired a Black real estate agent that was on the board of directors to find us this condo that we're living in. So right from the get-go, when we got here, we were looking, again, to to broaden our white horizons, um, and we continue to do so. Usually being in the choir or being in music is a good place to get to know people. But I haven't really engaged in. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that just says I don't get along or I don't like this person because of yada yada yada. I love everybody. I'm like Lynn. I never met a person that God didn't create, and so I try to look at it that way and just if someone's being a blatant, but I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody at any MCC just being a blatant butthole, and so I've never had to engage with that.
Well, one of the things that I've been thinking about, one of the questions that's, I started the coaching group today that I'm doing on anti-racism with Evangeline Weiss, and some of the pre-questions that we were asked is like, how have you assimilated into whiteness? How have your ancestors assimilated, and what have you gained or lost by that? What do you think white people lose by racism? Do you understand what I'm asking? Does that, Kate?
What do they lose or what do they gain?
What first? Let's talk about what we lose. I think we've talked a lot about privilege and power and what might be seen as gains, at least temporarily. But what do white people lose?
Meeting wonderful people who are different from themselves, a different point of view, a different way of looking at life, a different cultures, different everything, religions, worship practices, food, and just different, something different. And anytime any group wants to remain insulated from the rest of the world, it's not a good thing for that group. So that while they may feel really good, being off to themselves and having this power and feeling real good about, we're here and you're there, they lose so much. And that's the heart of it. One of the things that despite the racism and having grown up in a segregated America, I am so happy that my life has taken me to where I was one of few Black Americans at work, at school. And so I was able to see the world from, I think, different eyes because I was exposed to the world outside Black America.
God has created us in a world that with so much diversity in every way that there is. Kate, you started to say something?
I never felt as a white woman, I never felt that I was privileged. And the reason why I never felt that way is because I was on the masculine side for a female growing up, and then into adulthood. I was never accepted into white society as a masculine woman. And I know that, people look at everyone who's white with white privilege. I never felt white privilege from society because I was always looked at as not fitting into society's model of a woman. And I was right there on the margins of society with everyone else who didn't fit the white society, the male white society of what we should all look like.
We talked some last week about intersectionality. So I think that's one of the things that your comment brings up. And I think that we all have different ways in which we um, uh, share both privilege and marginalization. And I mean, uh, even just as um, even if you're very marginalized in terms of color and queerness and gender, still even just somebody being able to be on here and speak our mind is one type of privilege that in terms of like having enough access to the internet and things that many people in the world do not have. So that, I mean, that's just one example. But Kate, I wonder if um, I wonder how much harder being um, being a um, having masculine traits in a world that really sees feminism in one way. I wonder how much harder that would have been if you would have been a person of color. I wonder if there would have been other challenges that you would have seen. So
I'm sure there would have been more discrimination for a masculine woman to be of color compared to a masculine woman who is white.
yeah, so I think that's what we're trying to parse out a little bit here is just recognizing some of those some of those challenges and just trying to see what each other goes through. And I'm glad you brought some other challenges in terms of sexism and heterosexism, cis heterosexism. Those are all incredibly present in our society, and I wonder, um, and our goal, I think, in changing the culture in the church is to provide a place that is safe for people of very many different marginalizations. I wonder if have you experienced um, issues feeling marginalized like that in the church setting, or have you felt pretty safe in like at Resurrection
Who are
specific?
you talking to?
You, Kate,
Oh,
regarding presenting masculine and having and being marginalized because of that.
no, I don't. The few times I've been to the church, I've never felt marginalized. I've always felt completely accepted.
Okay. One of the asks that I understand the board has been presented with, and that I hope will occur soon, has to do with surveys, with a survey being asked. You, Lynn, is it something I'm not supposed to talk about?
Oh no, I'm a professional development. trainer. And surveys are probably the least effective tool if you want to know what someone really thinks about a thing. Because when you ask people to write it down, they worry about who's going to know that I said this. You know, someone else, they'll know my handwriting, or do I have to put my name on it? And especially if it's done via email. You know, no, I'm not gonna tell you the truth about it. So I have heard that before, and I just think it's a terrible idea.
Well, I think that technology allows us to have, I don't know, it's hard to trust technology these days. It really is. But the way that this survey was presented is that it will be completely anonymous. There won't even be an option for you to say at the end that you know, if you want to be contacted, give this. One of the first questions is, have you experienced racism in the church? And it's also going to give ideas for other isms. So it seems
If
to
you
me
have
like
my email, whoever sends it out, if I have your email address, I know who you are. That's the bottom line on it. I'm sending out the email and I'm telling you that it's anonymous. But if I have your email address, I know who you are. So it can be done the way, you know, when people say anonymously, but it must be controlled by
it doesn't have to be by email. It
sends
could
it
be
out.
done by like a QR code.
Yeah, that's true. They can do it that
Yeah.
way.
So assuming it could be anonymous, um, to let's look at these racial equity principles, and transparency is one of the biggest ones. That and I just see all the time. Even I just texted somebody about um, well, uh, you know, is this going to be said? Maybe I should bring this up somehow. And they're like, oh no, you need to get approval. And, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute. So that's a part of the culture that I think we really need to change. Silence is violence, and I think we need to, you know, even if it was not anonymous, I think some people are ready to speak up and maybe just need a way to do it. And it's possible that this survey may be helpful in that regard, to showing just how ubiquitous this problem is, even in spaces that you know, maybe for white presenting people, maybe it's hard to see the racism in the church, but we see other issues like ableism or sexism or something like that, and maybe this will all come to light with these discussions. And that's, I think, the point. That's how we move forward. That's one of the ways. I'm just thinking about these racial equity principles and how we can apply those in our specific circumstance. And that's one of them, is being more transparent, getting the issues out in the open.
Okay, so after they send out the surveys and they get the responses, who does what with them?
I think that's all been discussed with the board, and I don't know the details. I'm not good with technology. I had so much trouble even just sending out an email today to the group. I was just like, I can't even, the screen isn't even coming up.
No,
What is this
no,
happening?
I'm not thinking in terms of the technology here. I'm thinking in terms of when you receive the information from the people, when you receive the responses.
I think it would be somebody on the board, and the ask is that information, after the information is collected, that it would be shared with the congregation.
So how do we know that the person on the board that gets the information isn't the person that told Jared and Leo that they were, distracting and too colorful and standing up too much or doing whatever, because we've already got a couple of people. We know we have at least two people on the board that we don't trust. I don't know who they are. I don't
Trust
think
can
it's
be built.
Manny.
I want to remind you that trust can be built. And we have not gotten a response yet from the person who said that because that person was not in town. And so I am inviting you to give that a little time and see what happens.
How long has it
Not
been
totally
now?
true. That is not totally true.
Yeah,
What's
how
not
long has
true?
it been now?
Okay, Mona, what would you like to
No, that comment that that person has not been heard to from is not totally accurate. So that is not totally true.
Okay, well, I just I wanted to. Yes, I'm just thinking that trust can be built, and I'm thinking that you may change your mind in the near future. So hold that thought, and I want to remind us that shame and blame is not helpful in these, and just saying, I understand what you're saying about trust. And I also want to remind that I started this conversation about building bridges and saying, maybe we need to give people a chance to change and maybe even make apologies. Let's see what happens. Uh,
Jesus said, if they ask you for forgiveness 70 times 7, you have to forgive if they ask for forgiveness. I'm ready to hear somebody say, you know what? I really messed up. I really wasn't watching my mouth when I said the things that I said, and I am so sorry. Because that's what I've done. How many times have I put my foot in my mouth over the last decade? But when someone calls me out, if I'm a decent human being that's trying to grow, I'm going to have to say, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
yes, and let's give somebody a chance to do that. Let's give that. And let's give that compassion, that grace to ourselves too. And I think that's part of how we built trust in this group is I think you all know that I messed up and and I address that. And I hope that that is building trust. And I am continuing to try to learn from my mistakes. And I'm trying to grow in terms of being a better anti-racist. and and you guys are teaching me, and you guys gave me grace. And there are times when if somebody doesn't step up to the plate and say, then maybe we need to give them another chance, or maybe we don't. Maybe we need to say, okay, I'll give you another chance, but not in that position of power. That's an option.
I
May,
think it's just the timeline too, because we live in a world where I just asked Siri, of a half an hour ago, what year the movie came out that Kate referred to, and within 2 seconds, it told me, November 26th of 2003. And now here we are, and we're still not seeing Jared and Leo back in the pews after how many weeks now? 4, 5. I'm like, what's taking so long? If they brought their concerns up, why is this? Why doesn't Jared feel safe yet going back into the building?
right.
I can ask him
I
that
hear you.
tomorrow
I hear
night.
you. And one of the things, I mean, one of the first things that they said was, we're not going to be back until there's a sermon series on racism. And and there there may be some people of the opinion that that takes a long time to set up. So I'm not in charge of those kind of things, but I'm hoping that we at least hear some idea of what comes up, of what might be coming up for the church. So I'm hoping we hear something on Sunday. I don't know. I missed the last ET meeting, and I don't, I don't know, but I am hopeful that we will see some progress on Sunday.
Well, I think that probably the hardest thing when an offense has occurred is to say I'm sorry, because you may not really may not understand what you did. You may not grasp the full effect of what you said or did to a person that made them feel marginalized. And back to the surveys, I think, if they take the information that they get from the surveys, categorize it, and say, well, this group of people said this, and this group of people said that, and this group of people said that, then that opens the way for dialogue. Racism is not an easy topic for a lot of people. Black Americans certainly have, a lot of experience in talking about it among ourselves, but we've never, I personally, and I can think of maybe 12 years out of my entire life where I was able to have conversations with white people about racism. And it was at work. And there were a group of us, there were 6 of us. There were 3 Blacks and 4 whites, and we worked together in HR. And so we talked at lunch, we'd always talk about politics and, run the gamut of everything. But that is the only time in my life that I have ever sat down and spoken with someone outside of my race, my culture, about racism. So it's not an easy topic to have, not an easy topic to discuss. But I would recommend that over anything else, because it's really hard when you're sitting down looking at somebody in their face to not feel what they're feeling when you're hearing them, not, hear what they felt. And so I think that probably what Leo and Jared are experiencing is nobody's really acknowledged our pain yet.
Right. Right. And then I hope that changes. I hope that changes. I'm anxious to see what things are like on Sunday. And I think Jared modeled for us a very good way. I mean, before Jared brought up any issues in this group, Jared asked consent and said, "Do you really want my feedback? Do you and until we all said yes, he didn't bring it up. And so yes, it is very hard to it's a very hard subject to approach. It's a very hard thing to address racism within ourselves. And Kreger modeled that very well as well, just saying, hey, I'm a racist.
Hello, my name is Craig.
Yeah, it's we all these tendencies. Look at all these things that I have in about white supremacy culture. We all have times that we do either or thinking, that we think it's only one right way, that we strive for perfectionism without even thinking about who defines what's perfect and what's not, and where did we get these ideas. We have this sense of urgency, this defensiveness, the paternalism, all of the list goes on, but we're all swimming in those waters. And it is not an easy thing, and it involves grief to deconstruct some of our ideas and what this whole culture is about. So yeah, it's a work, and I think I think bringing I think the fact that this subject has been brought to light, that racism has been brought to light in the church, can be a very good catalyst for moving forward. And I wonder if we could kind of end our time by I'm describing some of the hopefulness that I'm feeling about that things might be about to change. So is anybody else feeling hopeful, or do you see any things that could bring you hope that are happening in our circles?
Well, I was on the call last Friday night with the anti-racist group, anti-racism group chat, and Reverend Mona was there, and Manny was there, and I thought it was a pretty decent conversation. So that made me hopeful. Mona had a lot of wonderful things to say, I think, and so did Manny, who and so yeah, I feel hopeful after that call. I don't know if there's one tomorrow night too, or I'm not sure. This I just was
I think that I believe they said it was going to be a weekly thing. So
okay. If Paul had a German lesson in that time slot, and I was like, well, that's perfect. I can hop on with the anti-racist then while you're studying German.
nice. Are y'all going to Germany? Is that why he?
No, Paul already speaks German. He's just trying to refresh, because language is one of those things that you use or lose, and he
Yeah,
already knows English, French, Spanish, and German. So
nice.
German needed a refresh.
Okay. Um, any other hopeful comments?
Well, I'm hopeful because I've never experienced racism at our church. I've been there since 2011, and I if I have, I didn't realize it. It just went right over my head. I think I'd recognize it if I saw it, but I have always felt accepted, and so I'm hopeful because I think that there are more people who um, lean more toward not being racist than who lean toward being. I actually, when I heard the charges and that there had been some charges about racism, I was surprised because in all the years that I've been going, I never have felt that.
I'm glad.
And
Well,
I recommend again,
Yep.
Center for the Healing of Racism through Education and Dialogue. These are experts. They've been doing this since 1989. And the lady, Ms. Steinwinder, I mean, we used to have them at Houston Community College, every year because
I think
racism.
that's the group that Jared and Leo were talking about taking a class last Saturday, and
Yeah,
I think they're offering something again this Saturday.
yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to ask them how that went or anything, but I think that's where it was through.
They
But
are the professionals in Houston. And you need a professional. You say it, and it is through education and dialogue. And that's why I say it's a very difficult topic. And someone who is not experienced in moderating, feelings get hurt and people, get upset.
Right.
So I recommend that highly.
okay. Um, Kate, even if you don't have anything hopeful in these last couple of minutes, would you just like to share any impressions or experiences, how you experienced tonight's discussion?
Well, I feel very hopeful just for the fact that we're talking about this.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it for multiple weeks now.
Yes.
So I think that's a very positive sign that we're trying to go in the right direction.
I think so too. Okay, Marco, last chance to say something.
Oh, right. Hello, everybody. God, I am.
We talked about movies, including Remember the Titans. Yeah, we did. So, but you want to tell everybody that you'll be absent next week?
Oh, may
Yeah. Where are you going to be?
I can't get what I could go get the gamble.
Gets to go to camp next week. So,
All right, well, enjoy that.
yeah.
Have a good time, Marco.
Thank you.
It's way over in Texas. So,
Oh,
well,
wow.
maybe Kreger, you can put it on the prayer group for travel mercy.
Have fun, Marco.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We'll see you in Texas.
Nice. Did you? You probably didn't understand Marco. He said, "Kreger, do you want to pray us out?"
I thought that's what he said. I promise you, I thought that's what he said.
Of course, Marco. All right. Holy Spirit and Holy God, Holy Mother and Holy Father, we're grateful for another episode of God Talk that has been recorded for the listening pleasure of your people who may come upon it in the future. Yes, we are working together to try to resolve some tough issues in our congregation and just within our people. Give us the courage and the strength to move forward in all this and to not just give up, because that's the worst thing you can do is just to quit. So help us take one foot in front of the next, God, and keep up with this. And as we go through the rest of this week, we just ask for blessings, and we just hope that we'll do something good. We'll do something good and kind for another human being. There's just so much negativity on the news, and every day it seems like the freedoms that we have in this country are slipping away. So we need to fight and stand up, and give us the strength for that too. And at the end of the day, we also need to remember to meditate. We need to remember to pray. We need to remember to give you space in our heart by remembering you as much as we can throughout the day and be present with you. So we ask for all of this. And in fact, we ask for all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I love y'all so much. This is.
Love y'all too.
Love
Bye.
you all.
Bye, Krager. Love you all.
Have a great week.
Have a great weekend.
Y'all too.
Bye, Jacob.